Hi, in this video, I thought it would be good if I could talk to you a little bit about trip planning. So in our recent trip, my friend and I went on a 20-day tour of Turkey. And while many people enjoy going on a group tour, sometimes I like to just do it myself. I really enjoy planning a trip as much as I like going on it. And so I'm going to walk you through the steps and the different tools that I use to plan for 20 days and 5 or 6 different stops. So on this trip, we started in Istanbul, Turkey, and then we went to Cappacodia for 2 nights. Then we went to Konya by car for 1 night. And then we continued on to Antalya, where we stayed for 4 nights. Then again, we took a car to a place called Kas, which is a small coastal town. We had 2 nights in Kas, and then we had 3 or 4 nights, I can't remember, in Fethiye. And then we flew back to Istanbul for 2 last nights, mostly to do our last minute shopping. So in planning a trip like this, it's really important to know what's important to you in a trip. So for me, I'm a slow traveler. That's why I took 20 days. I don't like cramming a lot in to every day, mostly because now I'm in my 50s. I don't like rushing around. I also like sleeping in when I'm on vacation. I hate waking up really early. I need a little slower start to my days. And I don't mind continuing to sightsee and do fun things into the evenings. But again, I'm usually in bed by midnight. So knowing what's important to you will help you to plan the kind of trip you want. I also know for me, having really good food is important. Having comfortable beds. I know that sounds so very privileged. It is very privileged. But honestly, there's nothing worse than booking a holiday and then not being able to sleep because the beds are too hard, too soft, too miserable. I also know that because of my age and I'm not terribly physically fit. I'm okay, but I'm not like a super athlete. I don't want to be in any really hilly areas where I'm going to have to climb hills at night to get back to my hotel. And this was particularly important in Turkey because a lot of the areas are really hilly. And I also know that some hotels don't have elevators, so I didn't want to have to climb more than, let's say, 1 flight of stairs. And preferably I wanted ground floor, or if it was a bigger hotel like we stayed at the Romance Istanbul, they did have an elevator. So checking out all those little details is really important. As well, I really do love my sleep, so I wanted it to be a place where at night it was going to be quiet. So checking the reviews, making sure that your hotel is not next to, a disco. And actually that almost happened to me in Fethiye. I started looking at a hotel which is highly rated, and I'm sure it's an amazingly lovely hotel. And I'm so glad we didn't book it, because when we got to Fethiye and we were walking in the evening, it is literally next door to a disco that goes until about 1 or 2 in the morning. That would have been really difficult for us. So let's start with, where do you start with all this planning? It seems daunting, but here's what I did. First, I start with my friends. Start with people who've been to the place I'm going, or even my own experience, because I have been to at least Istanbul before. I haven't been to the other cities where we went, but I knew a little bit about Istanbul and where I wanted to stay. Also, you obviously have to think about your budget, right? And how much you're willing to spend on your entire trip, including the flight, the hotels, the food, the admission tickets into various museums or events or activities, and then your ground transportation. So checking with friends about where they've stayed, what they liked about the area, what they didn't like, hotel recommendations, driver recommendations, all of these things can really make your trip planning a lot easier. So reach out to your friends, and then, see how that's at least a starting point. My friend and I, we created a spreadsheet so that we could keep track of all the recommendations of hotels, activities, and flights, because we took some internal flights in the country as well, which were not very expensive, by the way. Under $100 one way to fly within Turkey to most of our destinations. And then I go to my online resources. So, for example, I joined a few different Facebook groups for the particular cities that I was going to be visiting, because I noticed that in those Facebook groups, people will make recommendations, or you can ask questions. For example, I joined a Facebook group for Fethiye, and I asked questions in there about, I was kind of torn between two different hotels. One was a lot further down the beach, was more of an apartment style hotel where we would have been able to make our own meals, but a little more removed from the action, let's say, and a little harder than if we wanted to go into the city of Fethiye, or town. I'm not sure if it's a town or a city. It's pretty big. I think it's a city. If we wanted to go into Fethiye proper, it would have been that extra 15-20 minute drive to get in to see different things in Fethiye, which we wanted to do. So I asked a question in the Facebook group: if I'm coming, should I stay in this hotel or this hotel? What's your favorite hotel? And the answers I got in that Facebook group really guided me and helped me to choose the hotel that we ended up with, which was the Oykun Hotel, which I highly, highly recommend. What a lovely hotel, lovely staff, really great pool area, so close to the water taxi to take you into Fethiye, steps to the Dolmus bus, which is the small minibus that takes you into downtown Fethiye. And we took that bus actually in order to go to the Tuesday market, which you'll see in one of my future videos, which was honestly a blast. Total chaos, but so much fun. So yeah, Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, whatever, groups of people who are from that particular area can be very helpful. Of course, I also look at reviews on TripAdvisor, but let me give you a little tip. You don't want to be going through reading tons and tons of reviews on TripAdvisor, on Expedia, on whatever, on Booking, hotels.com, whatever you're using. And although I'm not a huge fan of AI, I have to say that using ChatGPT to ask very particular questions to narrow down a decision between one or two hotels was really great. So for example, in Istanbul, we were really not sure. We were kind of torn between the Romance Istanbul Hotel, which is in Gulhane, and then another one which is closer to the Hagia Sophia, but I had a feeling was going to be on a pretty steep hill. So I asked ChatGPT to search the reviews of both of these hotels and tell me which one had flatter terrain, believe it or not. And it was able to do that. And it told me Romance Istanbul Hotel is on a flatter terrain, much easier and accessible to the tram. And you'll still be able to take the tram and see all the sites that you want to see. So that helped me to make my decision. If I had to go through and read through all the reviews, I don't know if I would have found a comment about, about how steep the hills are, right? So ChatGPT can be your friend when you're planning these trips. Of course, do use Expedia. I use Expedia to book my hotels. I get Expedia points. And if you're interested to see the hotels we stayed at, please check out my link tree in the description of this video. You can click on my Expedia store and you can see the actual hotels that we stayed in all of our locations. Okay, let's talk next about flights. So again, when you're booking your flight, you really have to ask yourself, am I trying to stick to a very strict budget? And if so, then am I going to be able to sacrifice some comfort? So we all know that, if you take the red eyes, they're cheaper. If you take flights with 1 or 2 stopovers, they're cheaper. You have to ask yourself the question, is it worth it? Like, is saving that money really worth it? Or do I need a little more comfort, a little better start time to my day? And only you know the answer to that question. Me, the older I get, I don't know, the more finicky I get. I don't want to wake up early for early flights. I'm okay sacrificing a day of sightseeing and have a more leisurely travel day. And so I did book all of our flights to be afternoon flights, so that we could just get up, eat our breakfast, leave the one destination without a lot of stress, take our taxi or our driver to the airport, and then catch the afternoon flight, still being in the new destination sort of before dinner time. That worked really well for us. But again, you know yourself better. That's the kind of traveler I am. I told you, I'm really slow, like a turtle. I am okay sacrificing a bit of time in order to not stress out. But everybody's different. Some people love the hustle bustle. Some people want to get to the airport, at 6 a.m., catch their flight, and have the entire day then in the new destination. That's not me. Also for flights, you have to decide, of course, what level of comfort you want to pick. For us, going there on the night flight to Turkey, it's an 11-hour flight. I've done it in economy. I probably will do it again in economy, but for this particular trip, we kind of splurged, I'll be honest, and we went business class. And Turkish business class was pretty good out of Toronto. Not amazing. I've been on one better business class flight in my life on British Airways, but honestly, we were able to sleep, and that was a huge bonus. We didn't wake up feeling completely wrecked when we were there, and the first day just sleeping it off, trying to recover. We were pretty fresh and ready to go when we got to Istanbul, so that was really nice. Let's talk also about ground transportation. So, depending on your location, where you're traveling to, you have to think about buses, trains, perhaps private drivers, or other modes of transportation or internal flights. So some countries, I live in Canada, it's very expensive to fly internally in Canada, but certain places like Europe and even, yes, in Turkey, it's not that expensive to fly internally. So look at that as the option before you jump on trying to take a train or a bus. However, I will say this, when you fly between those cities in a country, then you miss seeing some of the countryside, right? And getting a better sense of the geography. So we did a bit of both. We booked a driver, which suited our needs. And it was definitely the pricier option than taking, let's say, a public bus, or, but it was still on par with hiring a taxi. And what I like about hiring a driver in Turkey is that you're assured that you're not going to have to haggle over the price. You know up front how much it's going to cost you. And the driver that we used, which was called Best Driver Hatip, that company was amazing. Great at communicating. We felt safe, secure. The driver always communicated the day before and the morning of about pickups and drop-offs. They were amazing. They even helped us, bring our luggage out of the hotel sometimes and into the car. It was really kind of lovely to have that extra service. But if you are traveling on more of a budget, I have also used something called Rome to Rio. Rome to Rio is a website where you can check out 2 locations. Say you wanted to go from Rome to Naples. Well, you could put that into Rome to Rio, and it will tell you how much approximately it costs to go by car, to go by bus, to go by train, etc., etc. And then you can kind of decide, okay, this level of travel suits my budget, then I'm going to go investigate. All right, so if I'm going by train, let's say, then how do I find out what are the right train companies to go with? Because there are many in Italy. So those are 2 of my tips for ground transportation. And some people, again, they can just wing it. I mean, I've been now to Turkey so many times, I would probably wing it. I would probably take the bus next time from the airport. There's a bus that goes directly from the airport to the Hagia Sophia area and drops you right off. Probably would do that next time. It's really a lot cheaper. But if there's more than one person in your traveling party, like we split the cost of the ground transportation, it really ended up being pretty reasonable for the level of service that we got. Okay, and then finally, let's talk a little bit about day tours. So I did use Get Your Guide and Viator to book, and this video, by the way, is not being sponsored by any of these. I'm just letting you know these are the tools that I use when I plan trips. So I find Get Your Guide is a little bit cheaper than Viator. You can also ask your hotel for recommendations. They are going to be great at recommending day trips, as well as even, potential taxi drivers, restaurants. Don't hesitate to do that. When we first arrived in Istanbul that night, we were kind of thinking we might go to 360 Metze, but then we weren't sure. So we asked the concierge, like, what do you recommend? And he said, yeah, definitely go there. Like, you're going to get this amazing view. The food is decent. It's not like the best food in Istanbul, but it's pretty good. And truthfully, I was so happy we did that because it was an amazing, amazing view from the top of their balcony. What else? Oh yeah, use Google Maps. Google Maps is your friend. Oftentimes, like if we were in a certain location, we would just, for example, when we were in Kash, we didn't know where to eat in Kash. We would use Google Map and zone in on our exact location, and then see a couple of restaurant names, and then click on them to see their ratings on Google. And then we did that. We found a really amazing family diner. I forget the name of it, but you'll see it in my Kash video, where we ate very authentic, more like local, not so touristy food. It was great. So yeah, day tours and day trips. And I have to say, it is worth it sometimes to pay for a day trip, like a day tour. In Cappacodia, we decided to pay for a day tour to see all the different things because we had limited days there. And I'm so glad we did. Like, our tour guide was really fun. The group of us in our little bus was really fun. We met some friends in Spain. We met a couple from Russia. We had a really fun day all together, like going around touring, laughing, talking. And they stopped and they gave us a really delicious lunch. And all of that whole day, I think it cost us each 40 or 50 euro. I thought it was well worth it for the entire day. Okay, so as always, you can make the best plans possible, but whenever you travel, expect the unexpected and pack your patience, because things do happen, things come up. Even though you might have done all the best planning, sometimes things just happen. I was really fortunate. I was really lucky. This particular trip, everything was super smooth. We had no flight delays. We had no issues with our drivers. The only one time one driver got a little lost trying to take us to our hotel in Kash, because we actually had to go to the port and take a water taxi. But we were able to clear that up by using Google Translate and then calling the hotel, and the hotel receptionist spoke to our driver in Turkish to clear up that misunderstanding. But yeah, expect the unexpected. And then I guess my final message, and again, this is just really about me and how I like to travel, is don't cram in everything. Don't make your schedule so busy that you're just stressed trying to get from thing to thing, and you don't get to actually just kind of sit and absorb the environment, the atmosphere of where you are. I think oftentimes the more spontaneous moments are the best moments when you're traveling. So I hope this has helped you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try my best to answer them. And please, again, visit my link tree if you want to see the hotels that I stayed in. And I also have an Amazon store where I've linked some of the products that I use when I travel, things like extra portable charger, and like a few other just simple things that make packing a lot easier and that kind of thing. And again, thank you so much for watching my videos. It's a real pleasure for me to make these for you. And please do like and subscribe, click the notifications, and we'll see you in the next one.